so sure. I mean, when you look at oncology, right? So that was a great question. And I think what they came out of, I think there was in 2023 so far, from what I could see, there were two products actually approved, right? And so you would say, oh, geez, that's a taper off. So I went back and looked 10 years at the oncology approvals, right? And there was a high point in, I think, in 2020 where there were actually 19 oncology drugs. It's been kind of steady, right? I think it's from 2013, there were 9 approved. In the middle 2010s, it was anywhere 15, 16, 12, 19, right? And in 2022, there were 13. Now, so far in 2023, we've only seen 2 approved, but I think my own personal view is that it's really a question of timing as I look at these products, right? In my presentation at Assembia next week, I'm going to be covering about 22 drugs. And when I look at the pipeline for oncology, it's robust, right? There's about 25 drugs that have an NDA in place. The full pipeline from preclinical through NDA, I saw it's like 4,800 drugs. Now, that varies depending upon the data source that you look through, right? I use Evaluate Pharma. In phase 3, there's 190 drugs. So to me, the pipeline looks robust. However, if you look at a snapshot in time, there's only been 2 drugs approved this year. But I see it that there could be 3 or 4 drugs approved before the end of this year, maybe more. So we could probably get to that, the 8, 10 drugs, and you never know. I mean, there's a number of products in the pipeline that could get approved this year. So when it's all said and done at the end of 2023, we could be in double digits again for as far as approvals are concerned. So the pipeline remains robust in oncology, 25 drugs in NDA that I could see, and it's been very consistent in double figures each year of oncology drugs being approved. I think the whole pipeline is remarkable. When I look at all these drugs, and I think over the years we've evolved, right? I look back to when I did this presentation for the first time in 2011, and I tried to find that presentation. I found some evidence of my presentation, and it wasn't nearly as robust and organized as we've tried to do it now, right? So if you think about over the years, we were all learning about the pipeline, trying to put it into a nice, neat little package. And what I've seen is now we've been able to package it in a different way to look at it from a traditional specialty. And I say traditional, right? The industry is probably only 20 years old or so. We look at it breaking out into oncology, where I told you we had 22 drugs. I now have a section on cell and gene, a lot of bright lights in there. I think I have about 20 drugs in cell and gene to look at next week. And then, of course, rare and orphan, which is always interesting. I think that's been, over the years, the brightest light. When I think about in 2011, when I first did the presentation, I don't know if I had a number of rare and orphan drugs in there. I mean, I was concentrating on hepatitis C, multiple sclerosis. Even though there were drugs approved, the multiple sclerosis pipeline was exploding, right? We went from Avonex, Betaseron, Copaxone, and Rebif to all the orals. It had Aubagio, Gilenya, Tecfidera, and so many others. And now that multiple sclerosis pipeline or multiple sclerosis approval bucket is about 23, 24 drugs, right? So that's been a bright light bringing products to market. And I just look at it. We've organized it. We've got so many more disease states. There's a diversity of disease states. It's so wide and varied. We always talk about there's 7,000 rare and orphan diseases. I think the pharmaceutical industry has done a great job looking at the diseases that really fit unmet needs and bringing those drugs to market. So I think if you come to my presentation next week, you'll have the ability to learn much more about what's in the pipeline, what do we see as exciting, and what are the drugs that are going to meet the larger patient populations like NASH, and then what are the drugs that we're going to see that meet the smaller patient population. So I think we've organized it in a way that it's really easy for people to understand, to track, and to really look at from an interest perspective. I always get comments after that they couldn't wait for a certain section because they're interested in either getting a job in that area, or it's going to impact, they have a drug in the marketplace, or even impact their organization. So, as I look at the history of specialty, it's kind of amazing. This year we've had 14 drugs approved by the FDA. 11 of them are specialty. I looked, and it's about 79%. I also looked at what's remaining for the rest of the year. Is about 39 drugs that could be approved. 28 our specialty, right? And that's 72 or 73%. So it's exciting. So many bright lights, and maybe we can shine some light on some of those drugs next week in Assembly.